Hello. If this is published, this will be documentation number 16. And it's actually just an internal test with different light and different microphones. Maybe Adam, you could switch off the light and switch it on again. There's a second light now, which is in the ceiling and down, giving another light. And there's now a microphone directly on my speech and another microphone down the piano. I thought I would just explain a few things again. A very, very kind and loving person has told me that he would really, really advise me to play passages over and over and over again. And he compares my statement the last time that I'm actually like a paralyzed person learning to walk again, that also paralyzed persons have to train their muscles. But my problem is not a training of the muscles in the fingers. There is a electric, shall we call it, line from my brain to my fingers, and this electric line is weak and is getting stronger. This means that this is a contact from my brain to my fingers which is increasing, and this means that at any given moment I have a capacity corresponding to the strength of the combination between my brain and my fingers. And if I practice, let's say, one passage over and over again within this frame of capacity, then after 2 weeks my capacity as such has changed, and then I have to do it all over again. So I don't bother. What's happening is that I'm getting more and more consciousness in my fingers. I try to make an example. This is maybe difficult to hear, but you can try to experiment yourself. If try to put your fingers on a book like this, then the normal thing will be for you to feel that you have most strength in the thumb and in the first finger, which is called the second finger in Danish. And the 3 remaining fingers do not have that strength. This is the normal thing for a person to have this kind of unevenness in the hands. So if you play a C major chord with the 2 first fingers being the most predominant, it sounds like this. If you can have the other 3 fingers as well, then it sounds like this. Then you get an entire chord. So when I over and over again play, for instance, the opening of Waldscene, then the difference is that the growing consciousness in my fingers makes it possible for me to have a chord where I touch the keys completely simultaneously and with a controlled force, so that the melody becomes clearer. When I play this one, the Bach prelude, over and over again, then the difference is not that I'm learning where to put the fingers or learning to move the fingers, but I'm learning to make each note sound the way it should sound according to what I can hear in my head. And I can hear now, where I have just placed myself at the piano, that my ability to get a power in chords is indeed increasing still. So that, for instance, I just before played just the first chords of the Greek concerto. And I can hear that the power of it is much better than the last time I played it. And just to test the levels of the microphones, I played this short passage from the Liszt Sonata. Maybe you can remember how it sounded the last time, but the difference is that I'm getting more and more strength in the weaker fingers, which means that also the fast passages are becoming more safe. Just before we started, I tried to play a little bit further in the Chopin study that I normally play, and I can see now that because I get more control of the weaker fingers, this means that I can hit almost all the notes now in quite a few passages. I can't do it, but the places where you can hear that I actually hit the right notes are becoming clearer. And as I have mentioned a lot of times, each time I try to make one of these documentaries, there's a tremendous resistance. It's like maybe I can explain even better. It's possible for people who are treating other people really bad to make a person short-circuit their instincts, so that you make putting yourself aside to the means with which you live your life. So if you put yourself aside, you are a good person, meaning that you are, paragraph 1, I'm not allowed to be here. Paragraph 2, if I should get the idea that I have the right to be here, paragraph 1 is immediately activated. So I'm playing against a resistance, and I'm not playing against muscles that don't obey me, because when this flow is there, the muscles do obey me. I can give you a few other examples. Today I'm not going to try to play anything really seriously, just this and that, so that we can see whether the sound works and the light works. And I can maybe demonstrate something about this increased clarity. There's a passage in the Rachmaninoff B-flat prelude which I just played just before, and because of this growing awareness of what my fingers do, it's becoming clearer. play it from the beginning because, as I said, immediately the resistance is there, which it wasn't before. Work. I'm almost completely eaten up at this moment by this resistance, but this is part of the documentation. So I'll try again and play something which I can play, and where you will always also be able to hear that there's a new clarity, and then I maybe return to the Rachmaninoff. Just a moment. I cannot practice that because what's needed is clarity and not that I can place the fingers at the right place. And I think I will have to make a short break here because this resistance is now so that I'm almost unable to play. I try one more thing. This is becoming actually a war now. I don't think I will give up. So I will try again, actually. And maybe it's interesting to have this documented, that my friends here are witnessed that I actually played with more certainty before we started this recording. Well, I'm not sure I can say much more about it, but you can see from this that my way forward is not to practice over and over and over and over again, because it's internally in me that something will prevent me from playing, and as I have described several times, which might make people think I'm mad. There are actually ghosts here very often. So it's coming from outside. I'm not able to make this resistance myself. I try again. It's not possible to conquer this today. I will play something else, just to be naughty in the eyes of this resistance, because I think it's funny. This game, who's winning this? It's funny because I know that I'm able now to make some real impact in the chords and play things which are beginning to get complicated, and I love the more complicated they are. We can, I don't know what we should call this documentary other than tests, but I tried to play some of the Liszt Sonata, and imagine this is a war. You're actually a witness to a war. Can hear that the power in these chords I am able to make is really growing, and also my security with which I hit them is growing, but the disturbance will try to make me fall like if I was ice skating. I feel tempted to quote a quite famous cartoon. I think it's Daffy Duck who says, "This means war." So I'm going to continue with this. I will not let be put down. And I'll just play a few things, and then this documentation might be called The War of the Pianos. And I'll give you a few more examples of how this ability to use the weaker fingers increases. And as well as this resistance will allow me, I just play the beginning of César Franck Prelude, Chorale and Fugue, where you have to use these two fingers. Maybe you could just hear it like this. Another example, I'll try once again this from the Liszt Sonata. Try once again, and maybe in this war you can hear that there is actually a clarity growing. And these arpeggios, and so they're also becoming stronger. From Tchaikovsky's B minor concerto. I can still not play it, but it's becoming stronger and stronger. And what I'm trying to demonstrate here is not a way that everybody should follow, but if you have been stamped upon, and it's possible to raise again. I'm tempted to quote Gary Larson in one of his wonderful drawings of two mammoths, and one of them is lifting a foot, and there is a completely flat Stone Age man underneath, and he says, well, I thought there was something sticking here. So I am really rising from the grave, and I'm letting myself make all these blunders. But if you listen carefully, you can hear that the fundament is raising. I'll try the F major ballad, because I won't be conquered. and I can also at the beginning illustrate that these presto con fuoco there's much more sound. Well, I have it in my memory how it was the last time, but each time I've been through some struggle, and this struggle has something to do with this constant pressure. I am not allowed to play the piano, and I conquer that. Then the power grows out of this, and in the end, I will not be an amateur. I'm not an amateur. I am a fully capable virtuoso, and maybe you can hear that I'm digging this virtuoso out of here, out of the stone piles heaped upon me. Interrupt myself here because you may remember that I've played this several times without any mistakes, and it doesn't help me memorize it because when this resistance is here I play wrong notes, but I'll try to play it again, and then I would like you to listen to the chords. Such a simple chord consists of notes which all of them should have an equal say, and this is not very easy because the fingers are different in the normal strength, but these equality in my fingers are coming back. I'll play this once again. this time I really didn't care whether I hit the right notes, because I want you to hear the growing power. And then I will make this session short and just play the Wedding of Trollhagen, which is also becoming better all the time. There's so many nuances in these passages. If I get it right, which actually sometimes happens, then it's a meadow full of flowers and a love duet, and the smell of scent of Norway is really there. So, well, thank you for your patience. I hope it's possible for me to demonstrate this struggle. And you might be able also to hear that I'm actually almost there. Almost there, meaning the basic of my ability is raising up to a breakthrough level. You cannot judge it from whether I hit the right notes. I'll make a few other chords. Maybe I can play it, maybe I cannot. Not that bad. What I want you to hear is the sound nuances in the chords, not whether I hit the right notes. The same goes for the Wedding on Trollhagen. mean war, I'll win. Thank you for listening.